So I've made a lot of mining videos lately, and one comment I've received quite a bit is that I should try the Type-9 for mining. To be honest, I've never owned a single Type number ship, so sure, let's take a look. Okay, so let's talk about the price. Comparing it to ships like the Anaconda, which is 2 times the price, or the Cutter, which is 3 times the price and involves a long grind for Imperial rank, probably not fair. So maybe the Type-9 would be a good stepping stone on your way to one of those ships. But then again, 70 million is just 300 tons of platinum in the right market. And as I'll get to in just a bit, you can get that in less than an hour of mining. So it's not like we're talking about weeks of grinding here just to upgrade to something like the Anaconda, which is admittedly far more versatile. So is it worth it just to wait? Well, that's up to you. Now, 2 of my favorite ships for mining are the Crate Mark II and the Cutter. One is speedy and maneuverable, and the other is sleek, sexy, and totally decked out. The Type-9 is pretty much the opposite of both of those things. So, is there really a chance I'll like this big flying brick? Well, right off the showroom floor, I noticed 3 big problems. To start with the obvious, I knew it was going to be slow and sluggish. Flying it is like piloting a barge down the Mississippi River. I mean, it is called the Type-9 Heavy. So, I upgraded the thrusters, gave them a little dirty engineering, and that at least made the handling somewhat tolerable. And to be fair, mining isn't combat, so I don't need this thing to handle like a crate, so I can forgive that. Secondly, though, was the power distributor. It's far too paltry to support even 3 medium mining lasers. They'd run out of juice way too early, and mining just took forever. So I replaced it with an A-rated distributor, and a few grades of weapons-focused engineering. Yeah, I know, charge enhance will be better, but I pinned weapons focused a while ago, and I just haven't gone back to change it. The third problem was overheating. This big boy runs hot. If I didn't run out of power for my lasers first, I would easily overheat. In fact, it would even overheat whenever I engaged the FSD. So to solve that, I replaced the power plant with an A-rated unit, which more than doubles the heat efficiency. So, those problems were more or less mitigated. Though, to be fair, it took about 32 million credits plus engineering materials for the upgrades. So here's what my build ended up looking like. Besides the changes I noted already, I did add a Class A SCO frameshift drive, which will make toting these materials system to system much more tolerable. I also consolidated to 2 Class 8 cargo racks for 512 tons of cargo space. That's about where I top out for one mining trip anyway. So that left enough room for 2 Class 5 and 2 Class 3 collector controllers, giving me a total of 10 active limpets, which should cover the 3 mining lasers. By the way, D-rated here is fine. It cuts down on mass, and if you're mining right up against the rock like you should be, the extra range you get from higher classes really isn't useful. Now let's take a look at the hardpoints and utility mounts, because this is the last remaining issue with the Type-9. After putting mining lasers in the 3 medium hardpoints, that leaves just 2 small hardpoints, which are good for precisely jack and squat in a firefight. So I couldn't possibly recommend mining in a hazardous resource extraction site, and it also makes relogging during the middle of a mining run more dicey when pirates respawn. Here's the other thing. When you're toting around 500 tons of something nice, you can bet you'll be getting interdicted quite a bit. And beating the interdiction in a big honkin' space barge isn't exactly the easiest thing. Hence, I filled the utility mounts with a few shield boosters, a chaff launcher, and a point defense turret to try to offset the fact that I'm more or less defenseless out there otherwise. Sure, you could put a fighter bay or 2 in there, but you're going to have to give up either cargo space or limpet capacity to do so. So, there it is. I'm not claiming it's the be-all end-all of Type-9 mining builds, but it is born out of some research and some trial and error. So with this build, here's what mining a typical high percentage rock is like. Your mining lasers will start to sputter a bit toward the last 20% or so of the rock, but they'll get through. And you'll likely still start to see some temperature warnings, but it shouldn't get to the point where you're taking damage. So yeah, it works. So to put it through its paces, I threw it at the Omicron Capricorni B mapped platinum run. And it did okay. I racked up 512 tons of platinum in just over an hour, And to be fair, I bungled a couple of rocks and went at a fairly leisurely pace, so this was far from a perfect run on my part. Now, I did do it in one session to avoid pirate spawning after a relog, but other than that, it did fine. And by the way, if you want some tips on doing mapped mining runs for the quickest haul you've ever made, check out the link in the description below. You won't regret it. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention one thing that I really like about the Type-9. The view from the cockpit is awesome, especially in VR. Being in a big glass bubble with minimal obstructions gives such a wide field of vision, it makes navigating an asteroid field super easy. And if I could get a decent jump range out of this thing, it would probably make a nice explorer. But that's what my Asp Explorer is for. Oh, and one last thing. For some reason, it makes a little, 1960s sci-fi laser pew-pew sound when it boosts. So that's kind of neat, I guess. Anyway, to wrap up, there's a lot to like about the Type-9 in the right situation. If you need a really big box to move a lot of whatevers from place A to place B, the Type-9 is here for you. As far as mining goes, with a few modifications and with a little consideration for its shortcomings, it is a more than capable miner. I'd say it's earned a place in my fleet. So, there you have it. If you found this useful, throw a like and subscribe my way. That's always much appreciated. And let me know what you want to see next. Until then, fly dangerously, Commanders. I'll see you next time.